Rapta,
Amun Rapta,
Amun Rapta,
Amun Rapta,
Amun Rapta,
Amun Rapta,
Amun Rapta.
Amun Rapta.
Well, tonight, as you know, based upon what we have on the board, first of all, I must appreciate you all presence here tonight very much. And we are about to go into our call it a lecture tonight again. One thing I want you to understand at this point, due to the fact this is not basically a historical class, and because it's not really altogether a historical class, then I'm going to be dealing with the downfall of Egypt from a different angle. You know, if we stick all along the line into the data system, what has happened, such and such, and such and such, and when, in my observation, as a spiritual practitioner, and we who are trying to understand ourselves collectively, if we only stick based upon what the data say, then the substance of the teaching is lost. Like I often say, then all we have is something to debate, and we doesn't have anything to help develop or a concept of what we should be doing. You know, and this is one of my observations. So when I speak in terms of the downfall of Egypt, which many Egyptologists and many scholars has come from it from many, many different angles. But to give a definition or a definite point, definitive point on why did it fall, most of the scholars or the Egyptologists, how you tend to call them, they remain on the same point from that just a raw historical base, just a documentation. But there is more in documentation than what we see. One of the things I want you to understand why I'm coming from this angle, because we are a spiritual group. Everything we look at, where we are, we must be able to see the relation with what we are dealing with, where we are, the environment, and every other thing. We must be able to see that type of relationship. And if we look very carefully, we're going to observe within our own self that everything we do, like I said the other day, I don't know if you will catch me, and this is very hard. Most of us, we read, we are involved in organizations, we do a lot of things, we pray, but we doesn't understand that we are at this present time a creation of the European concept of white supremacy. All the talk and all the lectures that we are going through, we still remain in the same point. Because why? We got to understand how the environment, and using the environment in a deep tone, affect not only the thought process, but it affect every ounce of your constitution as a human being. It affects you mentally, psychologically, the codes, and the thought process cognitively. Your whole constitution, consciousness, subconsciousness, the stages of consciousness, and the states of who you are at the point. So you've been affected through the system that you are living in. So when you goes down, or the system goes down, you goes down too. Because you are a part of the system and doesn't even know it. Believing that you are free, but cognitivity, the codes, the nuisance of the culture, the language, all of that binds you into the culture, binds you into the society, and allow you to believe that you are a free person. So what you are identifying with most of the time is just the personality. So you identify the personality and forget that you, the individual, is more than the personality. So in Kemet, we speak about body, mind, and spirit. So we can't deal with just the body, forget the mind, and forget the spirit. Like the last time I was here, I made the statement, the soul engenders the mind, and the mind engenders the body and the senses. So what we want to look at, in a sense, is where our downfall really lies. Is our downfall lies in the political system, or our downfall lies in us taking responsibility to understand who we are, that we can maneuver ourselves through the political system and gain our own salvation? See where we're coming from? Is it the political system that gives us freedom? Is the political system going to really help us, to bring what we call a strong economic and what we call a base of unity to us as a collective group? Is the political system going to bring back Maat for us? Not going to happen.
That's right.
We have to do it for ourselves. And that call for book.
Check open the nickel.
It doesn't call for just a debate or a lecture. It calls for collective work individually and collectively. So tonight I said, the downfall of Egypt. What causes the downfall of Egypt? So from my angle, Kemet, well, we know Kemet is really the name because the ancient Africans called themselves Kemet. Kemetian, they named themselves after the land. Now one can argue and say, well, Kemet means black, and they were talking about black land, right? But you're not going to argue when you see somebody from England that the psychic show you see England in front of you, right? You catch it? You see how it works, right? The moment you see somebody from Germany, you see the whole of Germany. Well, when you see someone from Kemet, what are you looking at?
The whole of Kemet.
Looking at the whole of Kemet. It takes in everything. You see? So they call themselves Kemetian, and Kemet means black in the sense. So the fall and rising of ancient Kemet. Sage Ipuwi. Let's start here. Quote, I spoke to my soul that I might answer what is said. To whom shall I speak today? Brothers and sisters are evil, and friends today are not worthy, are not worth loving. Hearts are great with greed, and everyone sees his or her own neighbor's goods. Kindness has passed away, and violence is imposed on everyone. See where we are, right? So here the sage is speaking about the same situation that we found ourselves in today, right? But why? What happened? Why? What causes the situation? Let's go. To whom shall I speak today? People willingly accept evil, and goodness is cast to the ground everywhere. Those who should enrage people by their wrongdoing make them at their evil deeds. I read that right? Those who should enrage people by their wrongdoing.
Those who should be enraged, probably.
It should be, right? Good. Make them at their evil deeds. People plunder, and everyone sees his or her neighbor's goods. I do see it by right. where we are? I mean, this is like self-evident, right? Well, why it is like that? We have so many scholars amongst us, right? So many educators, so much education. I remember once Farrakhan said, we are the best group, the most educated group, or the best crop of the Africans that ever come across. Well, if we are the best crop of the Africans that ever come across, what happened to this crop?
That's right.
I mean, I come to Charlotte and I think Charlotte, what do you think now? Charlotte coming like the Wild Wild West.
Yep.
Look in Chicago. I mean, all parts of the place, and look how we live amongst ourselves as a group of people. Our attention span to be with each other is very short. Very, very short. We're more patronizing each other rather than loving each other. We're more doing things with each other to get away from each other rather than to come closer to each other. Well, why? Like I said before, right? We have to look at ourselves, right? In the deepest fashion and realize in the psyche what has gone wrong in the psyche. That's where we want to look. Because the society that we live in, as I said, it affects you, the individual. It affects the psyche, so your behavior goes based upon, as we say, as one thinketh.
Where was he? Was on my Facebook.
You see? So you may think to yourself sometimes that you're thinking in peace, but your peace that you're thinking about, as I said before, is only to move away. Not a peace of love, harmony, unity, and justice. Your sense of peace is only for aggregation. So you want to leave an impression and tell people that you're peaceful. But you're watching like an old parrot, only waiting to regurgitate your same attitude that was given to you years ago. You see where we're coming from? So I pull thing, move on. The role of the priest and role of the priest. Priesthood only responsibility. Now we're going here. The priesthood only responsibility. Now we're talking about the priesthood in Egypt, right? The priesthood in Egypt, let's look. Responsibility is to develop their spirituality, seeking their own enlightenment, right? Maintain the temples, maintain the rituals and festival, provide service to the people, counselors to the rulers. The priests, the pharaohs, or how you call them, the pharaoh, which they call in the Greeks, or how they call the pharaohs, right? The priests and priestesses, they were the counselors. The priest couldn't do, the pharaoh couldn't do nothing before the priest. So again, we ask ourselves the question, right? Where is our priests and priestesses? Who are they counseling? And when they do counsel us, what are they counseling us on? And then where our spirit now, let's go, where our spirit is led to. See where we're going, right?
Oh, yeah.
You following me? Because where one energy is, where one thoughts is, that's where the energy would be, right? So if I am teaching you something outside, let's say your culture, that doesn't have anything to do with your culture, what would I be doing to you all along the line? Huh?
Put you on the spell.
It is as simple as that. All I'll be doing is misleading you from away from yourself.
That's right.
Misleading you and taking you and conditioning you to go the way the culture that you exist in say you're supposed to go. So what I am doing all along the line is helping the assimilation of you as an individual. Not for your own benefit, and a lot of these counselors and them is ignorant of the fact of what they're really doing. Let's go. Give me the last piece in that there. What it says.
When a king,
When a king has good counselor, his reign will be peaceful. African proverbs. When you, as kings and queens, gods and goddesses, has good counseling, your life becomes more easy. When you begin to follow the concepts of the gods and goddesses of your culture, your own tradition, right? You began to conditionally, you began to uncondition yourself, purify yourself, and began to go back into your spirituality, then your life becomes what is considered to be peaceful. Because you are a king, you are a queen. We have to wait for England to send no Queen Elizabeth and them crazy people there. Your own queen and your own king. You understand? That's what you're looking for. Right? You are your own counselor, but you cannot counsel yourself if you doesn't understand yourself. It's like a nincompoop telling a nincompoop it's time to go. So as the old saying go, the blind leading the blind. So you was always leading yourself. Watch what was happening to you. You always reasoning to yourself and said, yes, I will do this, and this is what I will do, and you know I should do this. This is the right thing to do. But how much time you catch yourself doing the right thing you say you know is to do? And every time you say, yes, I know this is the right thing to do. I should be doing this. Yes, you should be doing this, but you did something else. You say, oh God. You know, I should have done that if I follow my mind. But you doesn't know yourself. Exactly. Because if you know yourself, then what you gain stability, because why? You have what? Good counselors. Good counselors help you to untangle yourself from the entanglement of time and space. So with that entanglement, it puts you on a platform where you can establish yourself as who you really are. But if you doesn't have good counselors, what happened to you?
Walk through the cracks. Fall into ignorance.
And how the brother said, you have a word that says ignorance is only what?
oh, that's in the prayer. Ignorance is only due to ignorance.
Ignorance is only due to ignorance. So let's go. Good. Now, many people hear about Kemet. And when they hear about Kemet, they look at Kemet from the perspective of your Western culture to believe that Kemet was just a little Nancy story. There wasn't a proper civilization. They didn't have, you know, the culture and all of these type of things. Well, I put this inside here so you can see it. Kemetic government organization prior to the New Kingdom beginning 1580 BC. And watch how they organize themselves. Good. They had the Hara, which is the Pharaoh, and nobles. Himu, which is priest and priestesses, counselor of elders. That's the next point. A lot of people coming up today and saying, well, you know, we need to have counselor elders, a council of elders. Yeah, that's a good thought. But why would I go, me, from my point of view, why would I go to sit amongst a council of elders who none of them have any sense of spirituality to understand what is taking place?
That's right.
Waste of time.
Who are they going to be guiding? Huh? Some of them, I mean, I've been to one or two of them. Some of them, they come in high, they're drunk. Oh yeah. They don't know what they think, and they want to live, they live a life in all different form and fashion, and they come up with the old term, you understand? Do as I say, but not that I do. Who are you leading? How can we lead our children from the lake of bondage when we ourselves are in bondage? So when we're talking about having a council of elders, I want a council of elders who are endowed spiritually. You must be initiated